The Alldus podcast is brought to you by Alldus International, supplying your expert AI and digital transformation staffing needs across the US and Europe. Today, you are listening to our ServiceNow series, where we interview the best and brightest of the industry to share their story, advice, and views on the exciting world of ServiceNow and digital transformation.
Hi everyone, it's Mark Kelly here. Hope you're doing really well. I'm Chief Customer Officer and co-founder of Alldus, and a part of our ServiceNow podcast series, we are delighted to announce that we have a fantastic guest on the show today, and he is coming to us from Duke Health Technology Services at Duke Health, and his name is Jeffrey Manville, and Jeffrey is a ServiceNow Team Lead at Duke Health Technology Services, as I said, at Duke Health, and he's also been a Scrum Master, Architect, and Team Lead for the ServiceNow Development Team there. He's been at Duke for 3 years, and prior to that, he was ServiceNow Developer at Harvard Business School in Boston, and he's presented at ServiceNow's knowledge on implementing the automated test framework. He's a fan at Jupyter Lab for data analysis in ServiceNow, and he's currently traveling abroad in Europe to attend JupyterCon. Jeff, thank you very much for being a guest on the show today.
Well, thank you very much for having me here.
So would you mind giving us a little bit of an overview about yourself, brief intro of the company would be great, but you've gone to when you think of Harvard and you think of Duke, you kind of think of positive things. So tell me how you got into that world.
So I got into Harvard and Duke kind of the regular way of applying, but I've always been a big fan of ServiceNow. I got in there pretty early. It's been a family business. I've several family members who've done ServiceNow before, and applied and got in. But getting into Harvard, that was definitely probably the hard crux of getting in. They have a saying, it's harder to work at Harvard than it is to get into Harvard. But once you're there, you're just surrounded by incredible people. So it was a really awesome opportunity to get there and kind of absorb the sheer knowledge and material that they have available.
And tell us a little bit about your current roles and responsibilities.
So I currently work at Duke University Health System in the Duke Health Technology Services. We provide technology services to the health system, which includes our 3 hospitals, medical clinics, our research institute, and the 3 medical schools. So our medical school, our nursing school, and our school of public health. My job is to manage the ServiceNow development team. I have a team of 8 developers where we are responsible for the development of the platform. And we are pretty big fans of ServiceNow. Duke has owned portions of ServiceNow for a very long time, and we're continuing to iterate and develop new integrations, new automations, new processes every single day.
And if you think about why ServiceNow is the platform of choice, why do you think it is?
I think that when it comes to ServiceNow, it is just so scalable, and it's something that really can introduce multiple levels of maturity to people, so that you can provide a level of self-service and that you can continue to grow into. Its reliability, its performance has really made it very attractive to Duke for a very long time. And as we continue to scale it and introduce new partners through our citizen development program, and as we introduce new automations, new applications, it continues to gain in power. And I think most importantly, the really nice thing about ServiceNow products is, unlike some other applications, some other platforms where each thing kind of stands off on its own, each addition to the ServiceNow platform feels more like a piece of the puzzle fitting together with everything else, and really building on that kind of shared vision of IT and understanding our larger IT system.
If we kind of go into the weeds a little bit, what are the type of value or applications that are adding value across the teams?
So vulnerability response, the SecOps is really a big space for us right now. We did some ITOM, some ITSM, some strategic portfolio management is always big, agile management. But the one we're really excited to look kind of forward to, that I'm really so We've also done some GRC, but the one that I'm really excited looking forward to is clinical device management. I think that's going to be a really exciting area for us to kind of break into.
It's quite a broad range of areas that you've been actually working within. What was the implementation journey like? And how did you get employees on board with the implementation? Because it isn't necessarily a straightforward thing.
Definitely. Duke University Health is a academic healthcare system, which can mean that it can be a challenging space to work in. We have a lot of really complex problems, a lot of complex systems, and a lot of really intelligent people. To really get people on board, I really think the critical skill for all ServiceNow implementers is empathy, active, practiced empathy. Implementing a new tool, implementing a new process for a lot of customers is an act of vulnerability. They are trying to show you, here is our dirty laundry, here's how we've been trying to clean it, and how can ServiceNow help us? I find that listening to their pains, understanding their process, taking that and mapping it out is a critical component to understanding where you can take them and how to effectively implement those solutions. Because at the end of the day, if the tool doesn't solve problems and solve pain, it's not doing its job. So really listening to people's pain and empathizing with it is really the critical crux to cross and to get customers comfortable enough to give you that feedback and to improve the product.
Yeah, I think that's very important because when you're getting a lot of honest feedback, at the moment you may not feel like it's a great thing, but they're being really open and transparent with you and telling you from a recipient point of view how they see the world, and that's really important. You kind of mentioned that important, empathy and how you lead with that. Tell us a little bit about some of the roadblocks to implementation, and how did you manage through that? Because every day we've got different people trying to run through projects, and sometimes they can underestimate the challenges this implementation can bring. And it's not uncommon for people to understand that most IT projects, they fail, and that can be very damaging for morale. And then to kind of pick up things and go again, you do need kind of quick a lot of courage, I suppose, courage and encouragement.
Definitely. I think that, the biggest spot to start, I always find, is understanding what the process is today. An undocumented process is kind of a landmine to me. My background is in industrial engineering, and one of my favorite management quotes that kind of come from that area is from a book called The Goal by I'm trying to make sure I pronounce this right, Eliyahu M. Goldratt. Any improvements made anywhere besides the bottleneck are an illusion. And what that means is that there's a critical, painful point in any of these processes that is the most essential thing to solve. And without understanding your system, without understanding your process and really having it well mapped out, you're never going to really improve it. So for really getting through these roadblocks, really breaking through these issues and obstacles, the really critical component is to listen to your users, understand what the steps of the process are, what the goals of the process are. Map out those inputs, those outputs. What are the tasks? What do they need to accomplish them? What are the decisions? What do they need to understand and make a decision? Where are those pain points? Who's feeling them? Who's suffering from them? And where are those being caused? By understanding that, when you go into the tool, you have a shared context of here's what we're struggling with. And now you're applying a tool to it. Because at the end of the day, IT and IT processes are a human machine system. Machines we're really good at. IT is historically really bad at the human part. And that's the part we need to spend a lot of time on understanding. And I think it's the most important thing to start with. The other kind of big thing I find that everyone underestimates in an implementation is data migration. It just takes forever. It always takes longer than you expect. And it's just always kind of a dirty, messy thing.
There's always an additional point within data migration, isn't there? That even if you go on a very big strategic plan about your operations, there's always something that you didn't necessarily think about, or some different limitation, and getting a variety of different inputs from the start is important, but the cheese always moves in that. How important is it to having the right people ready for the implementation? And from your experience, what makes a winning team?
The right people for an implementation is absolutely essential. Again, IT is a human machine system. We are working together to accomplish these complex goals and get these complex, valuable outcomes. Without the people who work and collectively understand the process, the whole exercise just is a hypothetical mess. So I really think we have to get everyone in the room. We have to get a customer in the room to help keep you on the level. I think the key to that winning team is communication, clarity, and context. Having that shared vision, that shared kind of viewpoint of a process, understanding what is essential for us to succeed, that communication of our pains, that as we iterate on the product and move closer to success, that communication and that shared vision is really essential for delivering on the final solution.
Yeah, I think when people feel like they're going on a journey and you've agreed what that shared vision is, that's where discretionary effort comes, and you can bring them with you. So when you look back pre-implementation, what advice would you give to yourself if you're gonna kind of start over again?
You know, I've said it multiple times, but first start documenting your process. You're gonna learn where your pain is. You're gonna start. It's always a great place to start because it makes people feel heard, and making people feel heard is the most critical part from getting them to actually do what you want them to. And then one of the other things is ask your customers what they want to understand about the process. I find a lot of implementations are missing that. What do you need to know and report on about your process? By listing those questions, you have an understand that helps inform your data model, what you need to document, what you need to measure, and helps you kind of take those questions and map them to where in your process you're actually creating that data. And then when you hand that off to executives, they have a better understanding of how that process works and how they actually are supposed to extract data. A lot harder to measure things after the tool has already been built. If it doesn't measure what you're looking for, it's going to be a lot harder to implement that. Understand the ServiceNow's process, always a critical component. Like, you have to have familiarity with a tool, because there will be a divergence between the process that you have, the process that you need, and the process that ServiceNow has built. ServiceNow is a one-size-fits-all solution with developers doing the tailoring. Again, data migration, it's always going to be long, so be forgiving with it. Try to start it as early as possible. I usually just right after the process implementation, the process documentation really informs the data that you need and what's essential and what's not. And the other thing I've been telling ever since 2019, ever since I presented at Knowledge, I'm telling everyone, implement ATF, implement it first, require it in your contract, run them and look at the results every morning. If you have ATF built, your future self will thank you. And more importantly, the next person who has to pick it up after you will thank you. Because process documentation is nice, but it falls out of date. But an ATF test run every single day will tell you exactly how your process works and that the tool works every single morning.
Great advice, Jeffrey. And my final question, where do you see the platform evolving to?
So I'm in healthcare. Healthcare has a really interesting history with technology. There has been this historic divide between our clinical device support and IT. Usually the divide is a port in the wall. So the big project on our horizon is clinical device management, which is kind of a combination of asset management and field service management. I really think this is one of kind of where our company is moving towards. I think this is the most exciting project that I've seen, because this will allow us to bring a new level of collaboration and cooperation between two organizations that's never happened before. I think doing this as a major healthcare system, kind of bridging bringing this partnership between clinical engineering, ServiceNow, and ourselves, I think there's an incredible amount of opportunity for us to actualize on. And I think this could be an extremely attractive option for a lot of other orgs and teams at Duke. A well-done, service-oriented, field service, device-centered solution in a healthcare system of our size. I just think that like there are so many areas that we can apply that solution, and so many teams who we can take this solution and apply to, whether that's our operations teams, our biomed. There's so many areas where I think this could be helpful, and I think with just a little sprinkling of self-service into that, I think we can really help them deliver on services. And at the end of the day, like I work in IT healthcare because of the mission. I think this is the greatest opportunity for us to have a direct impact on patient care and really help the patient. And that's really our business at the end of the day.
Fantastic. You've been listening to the Alldus podcast, part of our ServiceNow series. My name is Mark Kelly. Today I've had a chance to speak with Jeffrey Manville. Jeffrey is the ServiceNow Team Lead at Duke Health Technology Services at Duke Health. Jeffrey, thanks very much for your time today.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to this episode of the Alldus podcast. If you enjoyed today's episode, don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review. We are available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and any Android podcast of choice. You can also head over to our website, www.alldus.com, to listen to more podcasts, view our open roles, and stay up to date with industry news. Thanks for listening, and stay tuned for more great episodes coming very soon.